This map shows the influence of the European settlement. Just have a look at this one. This map is a map of Australia before the European settlement, and you see lots of little areas there which represent the different languages and clans of the indigenous people. So you just have had a glimpse there at the impact of European colonization. But the last of the 3 lectures on Australia will be about Indigenous Australia. So how did the Europeans came to reach Australia? So this is a map of trading posts in Asia in the 17th century, in the 17th and 18th century. So you see here that you had different trading posts. The trading posts were places where European navigators would buy goods from locals, like spices or other rare items that you couldn't find in Europe, and they would bring them back to Europe and sell them at a very high price. So as you can see on the map there, close to Australia you have several purple squares. They were the Dutch trading post. And quite logically, the Dutch were the first to reach Australia. They really weren't impressed though. So the captain was Willem Janszoon, and they were on board the Duyfken. And they reached Australia here, the top end there. But they found nothing of value, and in order to make sure that they wouldn't be sent again to explore the country, they even said that the indigenous people, the natives, were man-eaters. So for a long time, Europeans only knew the western coastline. You see here the influence of the Dutch. The country at the time was called New Holland, but they thought that it had no value, no economic value. Things change with Cook, Captain Cook, who was sent on a scientific query. He was supposed to observe record the transits of Venus across the sun, because astronomy was very important for navigators. So that's why he needed to go to Tahiti to do that. And while navigating, he reached Botany Bay. So he did that in 1770. So you see there, that's what Botany Bay without the road would have looked like at the time. So he reached Botany Bay at its wettest season, and he described it as somewhere where Europeans could settle. The problem was that he got the weather all wrong. It was, in fact, so he thought that it was the driest season. In fact, it was the wettest. And that was going, of course, to have consequences on the first settlement of the British. So they decided to send convicts to Botany Bay. So there are different theories about the explanation of this choice. So first, the story was that they need to solve a criminal justice problem, because of course before the independence of the United States, convicts were sent to Americas, but now that they were independent. No one wanted, well, the Americans, of course, didn't want to have any British convicts. So they needed to find another place. So they tried Africa, but basically all the convicts died. The goal, of course, of transportation is not for the convicts to die, otherwise you just hang them if you want them to die, but to try and develop new resources for the wealth of the country. Okay. So Africa didn't work. So they thought that, well, perhaps this area there would work. So you had so Botany Bay penal colony was there to solve a criminal justice system, but they also had military and strategic consideration. The British had lots of issues with the French, and they thought that it would be a good idea to develop a settlement there. And also the idea was that it would create trading opportunity. It would be a stop, an alternative stop when the ships were heading to Asia.